Good morning, guys. Welcome back to Doing Things Harder. We are out in the shop again today, trying to get a little bit more done on this truck I'm building. If you watched the last video, you probably seen that we actually got it out, took it for a little test drive, did a little playing with it, checked everything out. It's running through all the gears good, starts, runs, drives, and stops like it's supposed to. That drive shaft I made does have a little bit of vibration in it, so I got a couple things I'm going to try here before I give up on doing it myself. But if I have to, I'll take it to machine shop, see if they can't balance it, and or if they can't do anything with it, I'll have them make me another one. It's just the one shaft. It's not but about, I don't know, 3.5 feet long or so with a slip yoke on one end. But anyway, we're getting started on some rear suspension here. Like I said, if you've seen the videos previously, you might know that I'm building a little camper setup here, kind of a camper truck along the lines of man, there were several companies that built them, but there was Open Road. Uh, there were several different manufacturers that would buy the cabin chassis and then build them and build their own camper on them. I'll throw a little picture up of where we're headed here, give you a little more idea on what I'm doing. But we've got an old classic Winnebago. I think it's a 73 or so Winnie that we've had some fun with, and it's, family enjoys it. We get it out, go to some car shows, go camping, go just do our thing with it, get it out. It's fun to just take a cruise in. I drop my son off at school in it. uh, I don't think he likes it as much as I do, but it always gets a lot of attention whenever we're in the drop off line, so I think he gets a little embarrassed of me, which he'll get over it. But anywho, I turn you around here, show you a little bit about what we're doing. I bought it was an air ride kit. Got it off of a friend of mine that he had bought a truck that had this kit on it, and he didn't want it. It came with all the original springs and everything, and so he took the air ride off of it. Come with there's a couple compressors. They're an off-brand. There's the tank. This is all. It's like an Amazon kit, but the bags, I referenced the number. They come back to I don't even want to say right now. I can't remember it off the top of my head. No, I don't. I don't recall. I'll have to look it up. I'll tell you here in a little bit or something. But in any case, uh, there are some off-brand bags that are made. They're you know Chinese replicas of the good stuff. But it's what I've got to work with. It was super cheap and gave me something to start with. So uh, these were front brackets. They actually went on, bolted onto the upper and lower control arm on a square body Chevy. And so what I've done is I'm taking just these brackets. I'm going to cut out this section. Actually, well, that's the top bracket. The bottom bracket, I'll show you over here. I've got one of them started. It started out, just like those brackets over there. I started on my bandsaw, and then I broke a blade on it, so I've got another one ordered. But in any case, took a took a cut off wheel, cut that out. I know it's not perfectly round. It's, I could put a bolt in it, chuck it up in the lathe, and true it up, and I may down the road. I don't know, but for right now, I'm trying to get everything mocked up. So I got those brackets. Found me some scrap pipe laying in the junk pile. I never throw anything away, so I've always got stuff to work with. So I did some figuring, came up with. I already got this one cut. That's going to be welded on there. I'll center it all up, make sure everything's good and square. I did cut the pipe square, but that will be my bottom stand for the bag. This is a coil spring uh, rear suspension, just coils, outside shocks. So it's going to be super easy. Figured these up. I think it was 3 inches in the deflated position and 10 inches fully aired up. Got online. This is my first time doing air ride suspension. I've helped a couple guys work on some of it, but I've never designed, or I hate to even call this designing, because it's super simple. There's no design to it. I'm keeping the stock suspension on this. It's Crown Vic rear end, but This is my first time ever starting from scratch and setting up a air ride setup. Uh, did a lot of research, got online, read 50 different people had 60 different ways that I should do it. Uh, I think I'm going to go with a lot of people say half travel of the bag for ride height. I'm actually going to 60% travel just due to the fact that there's going to be a little extra weight on this. They say that at 50%, some people complain about it being a little soft, a little spongy at ride height. So I'm going 60% for my ride height. Uh, so I just measured out what my spring was, the stock spring at the ride height that I wanted it at, where I just, measured where the frame rails are off the ground. I do not want this thing to actually lay frame. I want it set up with a decent scrub line so that if I have a catastrophic failure, blow a line, blow a bag, anything like that happens, and it does deflate on me, I don't want to be stuck. I don't want to be dragging. I want to be able to pull off the side of the road, limp it to a parts store, gas station, whatever. I want to be able to get there. So this is not gonna be one that will actually lay frame. I want a couple of inches of clearance. So uh, I figured up what travel I wanted, figured up where 60% of my bag height was at, and then where I wanted my ride height compared to that 60%. I came up with I needed 5 and 5/8 total for my bottom stand. So as you can see, I just laid these out, and I'm, just took tape measure, pulled, made a bunch of dots all the way around it. I said 5 and 5/8. Well, my brackets are 1/4 inch thick. So I took that 1/4 of an inch off. So I'm cutting my stands at 5 and 3/8. So once I get these centered up, tacked in, make sure everything's good, I'll weld that up. Uh, I will probably end up putting some tabs on the bottom of this and drilling and tapping some bolts on the. I don't know if I can get you in here where you can see it or not, but that lower spring mount, that pipe will sit just over top of that. It flares up, has a little lip that flares up where that spring sits, keep it located. And so I'll take that out. That pipe will sit in place. There'll be a couple tabs where I will drill and tap into the flat stand there for that spring mount, where this will actually have a couple bolts that'll hold it down just so nothing, so it can't pop out accidentally if I don't know, hit a bump or anything too far, too much, jack it up. Now I don't want it lifting off the bags either, but it'll make sure everything stays in place. I'll make sure that my shock travel, whenever I'm fully laid out, if I have to move the upper shock mount be really easy to move on this. So if I'm bottoming out a shock before I'm laid all the way out where I want, then I'll move that shock mount. Also, I will make sure that whenever I'm jacking it up, that shock fully extends before the bag does, so that I'm not lifting on the bag. Actually, I want full extension of that shock right at about the top of the bag. So that will also give me, being the length of this vehicle, uh, I might have some trouble with high centering and whatnot. So uh, setting it up the way I'm doing it at 60%, I'll still have 40% of the bag travel that I could raise this higher than ride height, as far as if I needed to, get over a bump, a curb, or anything like that, pulling into a gas station or anything that might make me high center. This will help me in that aspect, being able to bump it up higher if I need to, and then I can set it where it should have a good, comfortable ride and everything. And like I said, newbie here, so I'm going off of a lot of what I read. Anybody, if you've got better advice or think I'm doing something wrong, please, man, let me know. Just it's really easy to change at this point, which I guess all of it's pretty easy to change anytime, but it it's a lot easier to change on paper than it is in steel. So I think what I'm going to end up doing, this right here, you can see down through there, that's actually the mount where the top of the coil spring, the factory spring, sits. I think I'm just going to actually open this up because it goes down in there, has about a 3/8 or so lip, kind of like that one right there, just reversed. I think I'm just going to open this up, and if everything works, I will drill my bag mounting holes where I need them, and probably try and fish my the airport maybe out right here if it'll reach. I haven't really got that far into it, but if that works, great. If they don't line up, if I don't know if this hole's going to wind up being too big once I open it up, it shouldn't. I think I should still have plenty of meat there in this to get my bag bolts to where it'll bolt on. I'd like to be able to just use this top plate on the chassis as my upper bag mount. If I can make that work, great. It's super simple. If not, I'll trim that one down. I'll cut this out and weld that in place of it. May leave a little lip and actually stick it up on the bottom side just so it has more to push up against as we're doing it. Be easy to weld and everything there. But I will keep working on this, and as I get a little closer, I will bring y'all up over here and show you what I'm doing. Okay, guys, what we did was I took that piece that I cut off of the other bag mount bracket, that piece of pipe that I'd cut, and welded it all on here, got everything centered up, make sure everything was good, checked my height and everything. That is my bottom bag mount now. So that's already just bolted in. Now I got to make up top. I just need to hit these two, and then I got to have room for that air valve that'll come through right there. I was hoping that I would be able to use this this top hat here the way it's set up, but if you see, I got a mark right there, and there's another one right there you may or may not be able to see, but that's where those bag mounts center would be. And if I cut this out, by the time I get all the radius out of it and everything, I'm not going to have enough meat left in it. So initially, I was going to take my upper bag brackets and cut them up and weld them in underneath. But after I got to looking at it, I figured out that I could just cut me a little piece of this is right at 1/8 inch. I've got some 1/8 inch flat bar here. So what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to cut this section out, weld this in its place. I've got center marked on both sides, well, both with chalk and with a Sharpie, but that'll give me my center point for the current shock or current spring, and then I can measure off of it and get my my holes for the bag mount, the upper bag mount. I'm going to do this on both sides, and then I'm going to have to, on this area right here, I'm going to have to notch out just a little bit to make room for that air valve to go in there. So currently, I pulled the fuel tank and the little, I used the whole trunk section out of the Crown Vic, used it to just to hold the fuel tank and everything in place. It's just simple. Why re-engineer something you don't have to? But so what I'm going to do now is take these shocks loose. I've already got the frame jacked up. I've got stands under each side of it. So now once I let this droop down, once I take the shocks off and let this droop down, shouldn't have any trouble dropping it. So one thing you can do, like top of these shock mounts, you know, those screws, those threads, they're all rusted up from years of road salt and everything else. Just take your little wire wheel on a drill, impact, whatever, just a few seconds here, cleaning those threads up. And then hit that with some spray lube. About out of spray lube. But that will make your life so much easier on getting these nuts off the top of these shocks. So let me grab the impact gun and I'll go do that. And just like that, they come off. And now we should be able to take this, drop it down, Shocks are going to let everything droop out, and the springs should literally fall out at this point. There's one. And there's two. So now what I'm going to end up doing, this will sit right in here. I'll twist it around so it sits where it's supposed to. Make sure I've got bag clearance. Let's see. Right there. Looks like it ought to be good. I will double check everything, make my marks, cut out this piece, and we'll drill the hole. And then we'll weld this in, drill our holes to mount this, trim out where we need for the air valve, and then I will probably weld some tabs on here with a bolt going into the side of this pipe. This is heavy wall pipe, so initially I was going to weld them, bolt it to this, but that stand doesn't stick up high enough, so I think it'd be easier for me to just have a couple tabs coming up with a hole drilled through them, and I'll drill into that pipe and mount it on both sides, just so that that is anchored on the bottom, that's anchored on the top, and everything's removable so that I can work on it in the future if I need to. This should give me plenty of room for my bag mounts. Everything should work out good. I'll get a little further along, and I'll bring you back up here and show you what we're doing. Well, guys, I probably got a little carried away here. I should have stopped and filmed a little bit more along the way. I run into a little bit of issue with the travel on the factory shocks, but actually at the end of the day, the shocks have have half an inch less travel from fully extended to fully collapsed than the bag does. So I split the difference. I went, quarter of an inch and quarter of an inch, so that the shocks will max out a quarter of an inch before the bag maxes out, so that if we jack the truck up by the frame and let the rear end dangle, that it's not hanging from the bags, it's actually hanging by the shocks. And then likewise, if we dump it all the way out, I'm not bouncing on the bags. It doesn't crush them, and you're not really supposed to run them completely empty. So the shocks will actually bottom out. It actually hit my bump stops before the shocks bottomed out, but only by maybe half an inch. I pulled them off, and I don't think I gained even a half inch. So I will probably be putting those back in, just because I'm not that worried about it. I do not want this thing to actually lay frame. I think I said that earlier. I want it to, if it has a failure, like I blow a line or a bag or something, compressor fails, whatever, all of the above, that I don't get stuck dragging. I want it to be able to, get me off the road, get to a parts house or a gas station, somewhere where I could call somebody, something. I just don't want to be stuck on the side of the road with it blowed out and not be able to move. So we do plan on driving this. I'll have me a little first aid kit for my air ride set up. But in any case, we've got the back. Now the bags are just loose on the bottom. I still got to make brackets to actually bolt them in place. But what I wound up doing up top, I just cut the that one piece that was here that had the center locator for the coil spring. I wound up just cutting out a piece, and I welded in a piece of flat bar there. It was so simple to do that. It was literally easier than cutting up the other brackets like I had there. I made the ones for the bottom. I trimmed up a set of brackets and a piece of pipe. I did wind up shortening that pipe quite a bit to get it to sit where I wanted it to, due to the shock travel. But in any case, that's, both sides. Just welded that in, made little notches for the air ports to come out. Just got it temporaried into an airline right now. But as you can see, Sits, I think the frame is, the rear frame right in front of the rear wheels is 8.5 inches off the ground right now. When you drop the bags out, it dumps down to right at 4. So I've got about 4.5 inches of travel at the frame. That's just what it equates to once you know, it's not linear exactly from the bag to in front of the axle. So and that's with the front still at the stock Crown Vic ride height. I don't know if you can get you down here where you can see, but it's right at 6 inches up in the front on the flat frame rail before the front tire, and right at 4 back here. So once I get the shock waves on the front and get that dumped out also, I bet we won't be sitting but about maybe 3 inches off the ground. And that's plenty low for me. Like I said, I'm not trying to lay frame. I don't want the cross member dragging or anything like that. I want it to look cool and be drivable. I want it safe. I'm going to be hauling my family in this thing, and I want it to be a good usable vehicle. We plan on doing some family trips and stuff with this and going cruising the coast. We may do a power tour again. I don't know. We did it a few years ago. Really liked it. It's probably on the bucket list again. But in any case, I probably call this video here. See what it looks like. I made sure I had good clearance. I can get a hand all the way around the bag. It's not touching anywhere. When it's fully deflated, I don't know if you can see right there, I have barely got a spot right there. I will probably come in on this lip. It's kind of a sharp edge, and I'll probably grind out just a little bit on both sides. It's not touching, but it's dang close. So if it had some more weight on it, it's highly possible that it would touch. So just to be cautious on that, I may loosen those bolts, see if it'll slide forward any, just a little play in that in those holes, just to give me a little more room, and then I'll just clean that thing up a little bit and see what it does there. So I appreciate y'all watching. Hope you learned something here. If you did, give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment, whatever. If I'm doing something wrong and you see it, you tell me. I'd rather find out now than on the side of the road broke down sometimes. So I appreciate everybody watching. Please like, comment, subscribe. We're doing things harder. If it's easy, everybody do it.